All right, my name is Eugene Anangwe, and of course, as I said earlier on, our guest today on One is none other than Dr. Monique Nsanzabaganwa. She's the Vice Governor at the Central Bank of Rwanda. Welcome to One.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Quite a long time.
Yeah, indeed.
Yes,
yeah.
Since the days of the Ministry of Trade.
Are you sure?
Yes.
All those years.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. Since we did a one-on-one interview.
Yeah,
it's
true.
really
that's
quite
true.
a long time.
Yeah,
Let's speak from that part. Since those times and this time, when this appointment was done, in terms of moving you to the central bank, there are those who felt like, when analysts are doing the analysis, when changes like these are done, they always say, okay, the winners and the losers. When you look at that kind of change that was done, did you look at it as a demotion for yourself?
My goodness, not at all.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's we call it, we are all a winning team.
Yes.
As Rwandan leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And Rwandan leaders has this thing that is, I don't know whether it's unique, but I think it's important to note that what we care about is service.
It's service,
and
not the positions.
Yeah, not the positions. And it's service as a professionals. In the ministries that, for instance, I'm a trained economist. I've worked in the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, Ministry of Trade, the Central Bank. All those are really institutions that matter for this economy as far as really economic development is concerned. And I didn't feel anything. Really, it was like, this is an opportunity again to serve and to put my capacity to the service of the country at the central bank, and I'm enjoying it because when you talk of issues of money, issues of you learn it in school. Then it's not so tangible, and you yet to live it and work in it and see how really those things work out,
yes.
And how the concepts are actually real in real life.
Yes.
Yeah.
So talking about the Ministry of Trade, the BNR in terms of the central bank, you have mentioned that these are the key institutions that matter to the growth of Rwanda's economy. Let's talk the economy of the country today as we speak. You're celebrating 50 years of the existence of BNR in terms of services to the country. What strides are we looking at right now in terms of the achievements?
Or the central bank or the economy?
Both of them.
I think the achievements, first of all, are for the Rwandan people and the Rwandan economy. And all is grounded in leadership. Leadership matters. Whatever you do, if leadership is wrong, then everything else is going to go wrong. So the first credit goes to that aspect, that Rwanda has achieved a lot in terms of leadership, in terms of good governance, in terms of security, so that people can sit and work, farmers can go to farm, traders can go to trade, and you can come to CFM and work.
Yes.
That's number one. Second, it's people. People, that's very important as well.
Yes.
You cannot say that we have achieved a lot as central bank or as a country
without involving
the people.
Yes.
That's why you hear what we call we don't like that term here in Rwanda.
Which is that term?
They call it pro-poor growth.
Okay.
But it's a growth that is inclusive. So we prefer inclusive growth. And there was a conference the other day on that, how the financial sector can contribute to inclusive growth. So inclusive growth means that, yes, the country grows, but at the same time, the average person gets better. That's why, like, for instance, the 5 years that ended in 2012, we managed to see the highest average growth and the highest rate of reduction in poverty, because there were policies that are working at really contributing to growth at the same time reduce poverty. That's inclusive growth.
When I was preparing for this show, I went researching and I just Googled and typed there Rwanda's economic growth, and all that was coming out there was positive stories in terms of Rwanda being a model of other East African countries in terms of growth. Rwanda performing very well in terms of the performance indexes in the Doing Business report. And it tickled me. And the question here is, what is the secret? When you talk about the leadership, apart from the leadership part, what are the key ingredients in this kind of growth?
Yeah, leadership, yes, one. Second is implementation. That's really what kills a lot of economies. You have good policies, but when it comes to implementing them, then there is a big gap. That's number two. And second, now agriculture is still the backbone of our economy. And we have seen over the past years policies that are really promoting growth in that sector. Because if agriculture doesn't do well, and it contributes almost a third to the economy of the country, then you're sure that you're not going to gain much. And agriculture is also, the beauty of it is when it grows well, then you're sure that it affects a lot of people who were at the bottom level of the pyramid. So that's number two. Number three. Number four, I think there is a role that the private sector is playing, and that role is now becoming more and more visible, especially for the services industry.
What is this role?
I mean, the services industry, for instance, start by your business, like you in the media sector. Start for other industries in the hospitality, the financial sector. All those sectors, when they grow, they employ people, they create jobs, and they make money, and that is also a huge source of growth. As we speak, the services contributed this year in this quarter. The first quarter of this year. They contributed 4 percentage points in the growth of 7.4. So that's huge. It's more than half.
It's more than a half.
Yeah, so that's a sector where you see more people now becoming active. And in the services, you don't have any limitations in terms of, for instance, land or whatever. It's just your knowledge. It's just the financial intermediation. It's just the skills of people, and you grow.
The picture you paint here is very rosy. Plus, of course, what I've been reading in terms of the economy of Rwanda, as I said earlier on. But the issue here is when we send our reporters down in the villages, we seem not to see this in terms of their understanding of all these figures and all these big words in terms of the growth of the country. How do they feel part of this growth? Because they feel, okay, they are saying that the economy is growing. But look, Ibirai, the Vichiros have gone up. The Sanse, the Vichiro has still stayed where it is, but we hope that it can go down. So how do they feel part of this growth? How do they understand this?
Yeah, that's a good question. And these numbers, really, you have to take them very carefully. Like when we say the economy has grown by this much, it means there has been, in relative terms, in addition to what was there
in the previous time. And that doesn't tell you much about what was there in the previous time. You know, the baseline matters a lot. And the baseline we have, yes, I was saying that we did well in reducing poverty by 12 percentage points in the last 5 years or so. But we know that we still have 46% of people
who are still in poverty. 45%. Of people who are still in poverty.
What do we do with this 45%?
That's a huge number to start with. So we are not saying that we have arrived. The road is still long, but we appreciate the modest steps that are being made.
Are you happy with that pace? Because the people will say,
no, we are not.
Pace is not that fast.
we are not.
And yet they're saying we are happy with
we are not.
With what
and for instance, we have set ourselves a target as a country of reaching a growth of 11.5%, but we have not yet reached that goal, which is supposed to drive us to 2020. I was saying that this quarter one of this year, the economy has grown by 7.4%. You see, it's still low. It's still lower than the target. So we are not happy, but it's an achievement, and we build on that one to continue growing.
Yes.
And you asked me a question on the prices and what they mean to the average population.
Yes.
Inflation on average, yes, yet again, it's another number, but it tells a story. But a story which you need really to understand to appreciate it. Like for the month of June, the inflation has prices on average have gone up by 1.4%. That's really the least inflation rate we've ever achieved in so many years, and we are faring very, very well compared to our region in East African community.
Yes.
But it's an average. That means for fuel, maybe it has not increased. For potatoes, maybe it has increased by this much. Yes. So how it's calculated, it's like we have like a basket of goods that are commonly used by the people. And then in that basket, you have like 30% of this, 40% of this, 15% of this. So if the goods that have the big share, their prices go up. Like for instance, if there's an issue of agricultural produce, and their prices go up, the people in rural area who depend or use much or those agricultural products in their basket mix, they can feel the impact more than the people who have a basket that is averaged, that have a mix of things that have not increased that much. But on average, it's 1.4, and it's good for the stability of the economy. You know how to plan. You know how we expect that there are going to be impact trickling down in terms of really, for instance, issues of interest rates and others. But all doesn't happen at the same time. There is a lag to the impact to take effect. Yeah,
we'll be talking about the regulation part in terms of your responsibility as a central bank to regulate financial institutions. But before we get there, we still also talk to average business people who have to deal with the exchange rate part, and their complaint is that look at the way the dollar is doing. The Rwandan franc is doing in terms of the dollar, the exchange rate. It's almost going to 700 in terms of exchanging. What kind of how can you explain that to them in terms of doing their businesses, and why this figure is getting to this number right now? Because there are those who are saying probably there could be some cartels holding the dollar in terms of wanting to do more business.
No, that's not the case. If anything, the foreign exchange market is behaving quite well this time. Although the biggest room ever is the room for improvement, but the issue is not like the cartel or the hoarding or anything. The issue is, and I will start by saying that as we speak, the Rwandan currency from December to today, it has depreciated by 6%. That's I said 6%?
Yes, you said 6%.
2%.
I was wondering.
2%. No.
Yes.
No, we had in our programming, we had set ourselves a target of not exceeding 6%, but we are not even going to even get closer to that, which is good still. And the reason was a currency loses its value depending on the supply and the demand.
Yes.
You know, we have a lot of demand in terms of dollars because we import a lot, and the imports are increasing. The rate or the pace they are increasing at is high, and we are not seeing the commensurate growth in the exports. The exports are growing by more than 25%, but again the base is low. When I have one pen and you give me another, I've just increased by 100%. But when I have 4 and you give me another one, then I have increased by 25%. So the base matters. So the bigger the base, the lower is going to be the proportion of increase.
Okay.
So because exports are really, the base is very low. What do we export? It's coffee, it's tea, it's minerals, it's tourism, it's some handcrafts and others, but really very small
amounts.
And what we need to do as a country is to really grow that by a big margin. May say by 300%. If we can do that, it's like triple or double the export we do in a year. That would be fantastic.
It would help.
But as we continue not really to seeing that coming through, because you have to plant tea, you have to process it, and then it takes time. If it's coffee, if it's minerals, then the prices internationally collapse. Then it's another problem. That's why our currency is going slowly losing value. But we still think that one is not yet.
Is there a team that is observing and looking at solutions to this as we speak?
Yeah.
Or are we just saying let it just behave in its own natural way?
No.
Fine.
No. I know that there is a committee, a standing committee that is chaired by the Ministry of Trade and Industry, which is called IDEC, and the Central Bank is also a member to that committee, where we advise policy-wise on things to do, and we provide also the monitoring because we are really one of the institutions that provide data on the situation of the economy. They are handling it, but the policies they just take time to
analyze it.
To bear fruit. To bear fruit.
Let's talk about 50 years of BNR. There is an event that was organized in the backdrop of these celebrations, and that was the Financial Inclusion Summit. We're talking about financial inclusion, and someone somewhere says, all right, so why should I participate in being in a financial institution, let's say being banked or being an SME and able to take a loan? Let's look at this inclusion part. What does the figure stand on at this particular point in terms of financial inclusion in the country? Last time we checked, those people who are banked, the figure was very low. Today, as we speak, what is the picture like? Okay,
the picture now has improved. Again, a number. 5 years ago, say in 2008, the people who were formerly banked, that is the commercial banks and the microfinance institutions that are regulated, was 21%. 5 years later, in 2012, it had doubled to 42%. But there are those who are informally included. Informally means ibimina, they means other forms of access to finance, but that are not regulated like registered services. But today, that when you include that informally included as well, then you have total inclusion, both formal and informal, and then there is a portion of those we call totally excluded. Totally excluded in 2008.
These are those who put their money under the mattress.
Under the mattress. They don't participate in those small associations, where they can lend, they save and do that. They don't belong to a circle. They don't hold an account in a bank. They're not insured. Those ones.
Because they feel the banks lie to them because they say, okay, put the money or the interest will grow, and then there's no interest.
Or they just
when they want to go for loans, they're told, hey, the interest rate is like this. They don't want to put that money in the bank.
Or they just don't have information. They were 52% in 2008. Then 2012 they reduced to 28%. It's a big jump. But again,
more than half.
There are still those 28%. And we are looking into those 28%. You see that for the women, for instance, they're like 32% that are still excluded. That was 2012. When we look at the youth, they are still higher than 30% excluded. That's 2012. But now, I believe that today, because from 2012 to today, it's already 3 years. Because 2012 included, it's 3 years. We deployed mobile financial services, and everyone has now a mobile money account. I believe that the inclusion is increasing and faster than we think. But you asked me also a question on what is it for someone to be included. First of all, it's good for them because keeping the money in the mattress is good. That is when you have that money. But you need also to
be able to get
save
loans later
so that you
on,
can
yes.
get a loan,
Yes.
and from that loan you can pay your school fees. You can
or even thieves can come and steal it from the mattress.
Yes. You can implement a project and so on and so forth.
Yes.
So it's good. But when you do it at an individual level, it's good for you. You save for bad days. You secure your right to access to a loan if you have a project that is bankable, and those two are already okay for you.
Yes.
But as an economy, it's good when you save and I save. Then we have a massive saving that is going to be turned into investment through what we call financial intermediation. Okay. There comes in the banks, the circles, the microfinance institutions. When you get to those institutions that do financial intermediation,
yes.
it's good because they take your saving, they transform it into a loan, they follow up with that loan and that project. The project
and the interest
create
yes.
jobs,
yes.
and the interest comes
yes.
because of course they don't do it for free.
For free.
Yeah, but that's the cost you have to pay to get that service, which is called a loan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's look at a question that has come on our Facebook page, which is 89.7 Contact FM. There's someone called Haki Brian. I won't finish the show without asking this question. He says, great and amazing to hear from Monique on one-on-one show. Now, price of all items are rising up. What is the first aid contribution of central bank as shoppers claims? And of course, the issue of the use of electronic billing machines has brought instabilities in prices. Quickly, what would you say about these two things?
Okay, first of all, I will say that again, that's on inflation. The person is saying all the items prices are increasing. I don't believe that, and you don't.
Of course,
because you know
some that have gone up and some have stayed.
But the statement he's making is like we are feeling the pinch,
yes.
from the consumer point of view.
Yes.
And yes, there is inflation. And inflation, when a country does not have inflation, again, it's another paradox.
Is it possible for a country not to ever have inflation?
Like Japan,
yes,
they have living a deflationary situation. In
Are
Europe,
we going to get there?
I wish we don't, because it's a bad situation.
It's a very bad situation.
It's a very bad situation. It discourages investors, because it's like whatever you gain, it's kind of eaten in a way into your margins as an investor.
Yes.
So it kills the appetite for investment, and when investors don't invest, jobs are not being created
yes.
and then no salaries, and then everything starts going through that vicious cycle.
Yes.
Yeah, but inflation is good as long as it's kept controlled.
Yes.
The benchmark is for our region, we say 5%. And Rwanda has been under 5% for the time being.
Yes.
But that does not mean that for some products it can exceed that.
Yes.
But on average, it's really controlled. And the fact that the use of those electronic machines has created disturbances, we have not yet studied that phenomenon, which is still new. But there are issues here when it comes to compliance of taxpayers.
Yes.
Sometimes they tell you, I give you a bill with
this
VAT
amount. Yes.
or without.
Yes.
So when you say without, then they give you at a lower price, but they cheat you, because that VAT that they are not charging and remitting is the same that is going to reduce the capacity for government to invest in development projects and build roads and build schools and build health services.
Yes.
So it's like you're being cheated and you don't know. And when we all get cheated and we don't know, then we say it's good for us because I'm buying this at a cheap price, But as an economy, we have already lost. That's number one.
Yes.
So compliance is good. So if there is that element of the adjustment that is coming in because now people are complying because of those machines, well and good for the economy. But
the cheating part is the only problem.
The cheating part was the only problem. So if everything adjusts, then
it's good for everybody.
It's going to be good for everybody.
In 2 seconds, because my time is up here, what does the future look like as in closing remarks?
We see that the outlook is very positive, and we need to work very hard as Rwandans in general to really everyone produce, increase the productivity.
Yes.
We are seeing still gaps in terms of productivity in terms of the skills and how people apply the skills they have to really make
an impact.
An impact in whatever you do.
Yes, yes.
Whether you're a street sweeper, really productivity is very key. That's really number one. And productivity comes into how much time does it take to implement the decisions. How much time does it take, for instance, to really apply all the agricultural inputs so that we have good harvests? That's productivity. That's what I mean. How much time do you work in your farm? We are seeing, for instance, a lot of in tea plantations and coffee plantations. We have seen over the past years that volumes and values have reduced. What's happening? Yes, price internationally have not been good.
Yes,
that affect the value.
Yes.
But why volume is also not growing fast? Maybe it's because me as a farmer, I'm not doing something right.
Right, yes. So productivity,
the productivity to increase
is very important.
Productivity is really my key message.
Thank you very much, Monique Nsanzabaganwa, Dr. Monique Nsanzabaganwa, I must say, for coming on One-on-One. Thank you also for listening in. My name is Eugene Anangwe. See you again next time.